All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna call this podcast. Well, if it could be a
It
podcast,
is.
it's a podcast. What we gonna call it? Let's make the name up right now.
We went from not even being a podcast to now we need a name.
Yeah. So the name is. All right, I'm gonna just call it. Take it from somebody that knows.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Take it
We
from
use that for
somebody that
today.
knows. So I'm your host, Brandon Diggs, and I don't know anything about that realm. So I'm bringing in professional experts to give me some credibility. And today I have Miss Tremaine Wills, who is my resident host, financial advisor extraordinaire. And the real reason why we're here today is because of this stronghold that our community has on us in the direction that we want to move. So um, this marks day one of pulling in that direction, and we're going to shed some light on the knowledge that she possesses, which is infinite. So we may be here all day. Um, no, but without further ado, Miss Tremaine, could you please let the crowd know more about what it is that you bring to the table?
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I am a financial planner and investment advisor. I own a firm called Mind Over Money, where we are helping primarily women entrepreneurs manage their money better so they can get back to enjoying life. Um, I am a certified financial literacy education instructor, um, registered investment advisor. I got all kinds of investment and insurance licenses and stuff. But I really, really enjoy teaching
There you
and
go.
talking about money.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And so we all know that I'm in the real estate realm, at least right now. And I wanted to talk to you today about like how real estate translates in the financial world as
Mm,
far as like you hear so much generational wealth. And I want to just take it from somebody else other than me because I am in a sales position. I want someone else to explain how important real estate is from the beginning. So when we're looking at this, how how crucial is it for you to own real estate to build that financial future that people dream of?
yeah, that's good. So I always encourage ownership, right? Whether it's owning stocks, bonds, businesses, real estate, right? A lot of people, when they're talking about generational wealth and multiple streams of income, they have this warped perception of what multiple streams of income actually is.
Mhm.
And so when you know what the seven streams are, you know that one of those streams is rental income. And typically that comes from owning real estate.
Mhm.
So when I'm teaching my clients about setting up their multiple streams of income, real estate is what brings in a lot of that rental income. So, and if you don't know what the others are, the seven streams are earned income, so money that's made from you working your job. You have profit income generated from running a business,
Mhm.
rental income, of course, from leasing out or renting out an asset. Then you have interest income, which is when you lend money to someone or a corporation and the interest is paid back to you. You have capital gains, which you get from the appreciation of an asset. So also if you buy a property and you sell it for more, capital gains, right? And then you have royalties. So if you create a work and you license that out or you have copyrighted work and you're able to use that intellectual property for someone else to use it, you can collect income from that. And then the last one, my favorite, is dividends,
Whew.
right? And so that's where you own an asset and you also get paid because you own the asset.
Could you explain before we dive into it just more? Because since that's your favorite, and I know people hear this, um, people looking at the stock market and
Mm-hmm.
really don't understand like what's that mean. I wanted to get people some basic knowledge about the stock market and how we can take advantage of it, and just want you to explore a little bit more on dividends.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I always get asked, Tremaine, what stock should I buy? And I'm like, well, what's your goal? Right. And so I am a big fan of dividends because you get to have your cake and eat it too.
Hmm.
Right. So you get to have ownership in a company. And then when they are passing out the profits, you get paid because you're an owner instead of having to wait until you sell the stock to then realize the appreciation from whatever you paid, right? So dividends really just boil down to buying shares of companies that pay back profits to the shareholders. So that could look like Pepsi, for example, or what's the first one I did? Dominion Energy. They have a really, really good dividend reinvestment program. And basically, you buy the shares, you let them sit, right? And then every quarter or so, whenever they're passing out the dividend checks, you get a check.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
we like that.
So, and then so I know like a lot of people start with the question, I don't know where to start. What stock should I invest in? You mentioned two companies that surface level you use daily. So when advising someone, would you say it's safe to say look at your daily expenditures? Where are you spending your money? Or how would you go about advising people? Because I just listened to those two, and that it's a no brainer. Hey, I'm going to use electricity, and if you're a Pepsi fan or Coke fan, like invest in what you buy, have some ownership.
So this is always a good, healthy debate, right? I never advise brand new investors to buy individual stocks because it's a lot of risk, right? It's like, let's say you're a fan of football, right? And you have your favorite player. Let me pick somebody. Give me a football player. Brett Favre. I don't even know if he still plays, but that's the name that came to my head, right?
Roll with
So
it. 'Cause his stock went down, but,
if he has an injury, right, he not making you no money, right? But if I don't even know what team he play on, but let's say we have Brett Favre, we got who's Sierra's husband? Russell Wilson. You got all kinds of top picks across different teams, and one of them could have a bad game. But if you have 500 different players, right, where you have ownership in, it don't matter if one got a bad game, right? That's how I tell new investors to start. Gotcha. You don't want to just look at one stock, because if one company has a bad day and all your money's in that one company, like Tesla, right, you lose a lot of money. Right. But if I have my money across 500 different stocks in something like an S&P 500 index, then I have a much better chance of my portfolio doing well.
There you go. Okay, so diversifying, spread your bets out.
Yes.
And find out what's working. And kind of reallocate. Gotcha. So I want to just bring this back to my world a little bit. Again, I want people to take it from another professional in a totally different realm and see how our worlds intertwine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use my notepad because I can have that luxury, and it's my show. I could edit all this, but I just had these ChatGPT questions, and I thought they were cool. But I don't know if I want to ask them. All right, yeah. In action. What are some key considerations? Some things that people should keep in mind when incorporating real estate into their overall financial portfolio?
I like this question. So there's all kinds of ways to make money in real estate, right? There's so many ways. And so the very first question I ask is, what level of participation or energy or effort do you want to put into this, right? Because if you got no time, then there's just some avenues you should not go down, right? I have no desire to be a landlord that is in the day-to-day, right? So that means I'm going to need to probably hire a property manager. So I don't want to be in a type of real estate where I can only make a profit if I'm able to have like real slim margins, right? So the first question is like, how involved do you want to be? Then the next question is, how much capital are you willing to put up, right? Because if I have, several thousands of dollars, I probably can do different strategies where I'm buying properties, fixing them, flipping them, or even just investing in larger deals. Versus if I only got a couple $100, then I might need to look at like a real estate investment trust, right? Where I still have the ownership of real estate assets, but I can get started at a smaller level since I have less capital. So those are probably the two biggest questions is like, How much energy are you trying to put into this? And how much money do you have?
Right. So a lot of people. So let's just dial back into our everyday client
Mm-hmm.
and people who are just trying to get on base, get that first home. Um, when you consider these people, how does owning real estate align with long-term financial goals such as like retirement planning, wealth
Mm.
preservation, generational wealth transfer? Can you think of like any advantages that uh, they offer in these aspects?
Yeah, yeah. So more often than not, we all should probably own a home, right? At least our primary residence. Now, for some people, it might make sense for you to rent based on like your lifestyle and what your desires are. But for the vast majority of people, you should own a home, right? One, it just helps with having a central place for like the legacy to grow and build, right? So, for example, my family has started buying houses in the same part of the city, right? And my dad one day wants to like change the name of the street, right? But that kind of stuff doesn't happen unless you own
Yeah.
the property in that area. So it allows you to build up equity in the homes, and then you can use the equity to finance other asset purchases, right? Or finance, paying for college. One of the things a lot of my clients do is they will leverage the equity they have in their homes to get a better interest rate to cover the expenses of college, because the student loan interest rates, listen, okay? I know so many people who have student loan debt where it just seems like how much they owe, the amount actually is not going down because the interest keeps growing and growing and growing. And so the best thing you can do when you're trying to decide about purchasing a home is, it's not just, I can live in this property, which is great, but there's so many other uses for the property to continue to build.
She said it, not me. So I concur. Everything she says, I concur. But I didn't want to be that guy who's always walking around saying this stuff. This is a financial planner telling you this. This is not Brandon the realtor or anybody in my realm trying to sell you something. It's really about changing the mindset of people and have a clear understanding of like where this is going, painting that roadmap. And though I wear this hat as a realtor, I've been in the financial planning aspect, that realm, but I wanted to bring in another expert so that we can work collectively to paint this picture that people need to see. It's imperative that we start sharing and cross pollinating our crowds, our networks, so that people have a clear understanding, and then seeing people who actually do this consistently. I don't mean like a hobby or by the weighing. No, I sit down and I concentrate my efforts to this craft because I know how powerful it is to change lives. So with that being said, we're talking about the current market conditions. How do you feel about the current market conditions as far as where the interest rates are, and what advice would you give someone who's hung up on these interest rates, and what that means when, if those rates change, and what they'd be expected to see in that time frame?
So y'all not gonna like this answer, but if buying a home is your desire, you shouldn't wait until later to do it, right? One, inflation is real. So the cost of everything is always increasing, right? Interest rate environment, high, low, whatever, inflation is gonna inflation. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we do not know specifically when, if interest rates will ever get back to 2-3%. Like, that was a special time, right? It was a very, very special time. And if you are sitting here trying to wait until that time comes around again, you might not see that in your lifetime. So the best thing you can do is take the best course of action with the information you have now. And should an opportunity present itself later to refinance and get a lower interest rate, you take it. But you sitting here waiting for lower interest rates, what happens if it go up into the double digits again like it has done in the past? right?
People are going to be boxed out of homes.
That's right.
I foresee that, and it's like watching that train, that light at the end of the tunnel being a train,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna smack a lot of people. So my chief concern right now is galvanizing people, getting them in motion, and understanding the severity. I think that we are in a state of emergency when it comes to this, but we're so relaxed,
Yeah.
and a lot of I don't know, a lot of things have been afforded to us that makes us very passive,
Mm-hmm.
and we just are relying on substance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to dive down that rabbit hole, but but that's how I feel, and I just want us to work collectively to share different perspectives so that we can paint a full picture for people, um, and just watch, because we are a lot of us are show me people, and I think that if we collectively paint a picture from different perspectives, people can begin to start seeing themselves in the whole picture. So, um, now I want to digress from real estate a little bit and going into like your actual world. And you led the conversation with, you want to lead the charge for women entrepreneurs and helping them. I want you to talk more about what you've done thus far and where you plan on going.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Okay. So far, I have been working to help women get started on their investment journey and learning how to raise their rates and just getting confident about having money conversations, right? So I come from the classroom. I used to be a math teacher. And so I'm very familiar with being underpaid and brilliant, right? And I think that's the case for a lot of women entrepreneurs, right? Especially when we're talking about growing and scaling businesses, because some of that lack of confidence come from not understanding the language of money. So my goal is to, yes, help us build the financial plans, but also take it to the next level where it's not just, okay, I got a budget and I got a debt payoff plan and I got, my investment accounts, but how do I leverage this business into a wealth generation machine where I'm able to buy my time back and do the things that actually give me energy and that I'm passionate about? Because a lot of us have left jobs and created like worse jobs, right? You got no PTO, right?
Whoa.
You working 800 hours, like, and and for many entrepreneurs, that's what the beginning looks like.
Yeah.
But for women especially, because we are not getting, venture capital funds, we don't got our financial statements in order. So we're not getting the loans, we're not getting the funding. You're bootstrapping, and you're hitting a brick wall because you're out of time, you're out of money, you're out of resources. And it's not that you can't, you ain't got all the tools in the toolbox.
Listen. I'm seeing that too, and I was having this conversation this week. I have daughters, and I know that life is a lot different for the expectation and what's presented to women. So like the fact that you're in this space and leading the charge, I want to know, like, and speaking for other people, how can we support what you got going on?
So in general, right, support women-owned businesses. And we do that by paying the full rate, not asking for discounts. And I don't want to say not being mean girls, but there's this like fake empowerment thing going around.
Can I say that?
Where it's like, and I believe in investing to be in spaces,
Right.
but when I make an investment, I'm expecting a return. Right. And so we have to create environments where there is a true exchange of value, and that has to be the standard, right? It can't just be, money moving around, but no true economic development happening inside of our community, right? Because there's so much money to make.
Right.
There's so much money to make if we would partner and collaborate and share resources and, build team,
Right.
right? But I think part of that too comes from a lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're fighting against this standard where we're being told we're competitors, right? We're pitted against each other for all kinds of different reasons, but the wealth is built in collaboration. So I think that I said a whole bunch of stuff, but
No, you hit, because now I just want to like drill in, like, okay, you trust. Let's start with trust.
yeah.
And I think that when we're talking about the development of younger people, because I believe it's Frederick Douglass who spoke on how it's much easier to raise, train, teach a young man or woman than it is to deal with adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I use youth sports, football in particular, to kind of like lay the foundation for that trust. Because playing football, I understand that to be like the ultimate team game, to where there's only so much you can do, and you're going to be reliant on the man next to you.
Mm.
And so the fact that that has been the essence of the sport has been eviscerated with individualism.
Mm-hmm.
We are now building a generation of super duper individuals in spaces where they're supposed to be taught to be a team to get that trust. So it's like we got to start peeling this back and thinking of ways to even engineer putting trust back into people. So with that being said, and knowing how critical that is to build that collaborative environment, what do you suggest? What do you think? Do you think? Hard question.
I think it's funny that you think I even have a remotely close answer.
You here today, so you being here today lets me know that
that's a good thought, right? And I think like a lot of it will start with introspection, like doing the work to see in yourself where you have areas of distrust. So I know for me, I was not always a collaborate, partner, like link up type person,
Right.
because especially in financial services, there is some snakes out here, y'all, right? So I used to be like, I will hold on to my people like close. You can't talk to my folks because you gonna do some sneaky stuff, right?
Right.
But after I kind of was like, it's lonely on this island. Like I can't serve them in all the ways that they need help with just my limited skill set. I need folks that know more than me in whatever area of genius they have.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I just have to go find people who care like I do about their people,
Right.
and then partner. Because if you care like I care about my people, about your people,
Right.
our people gonna be good.
Right. So that's it. That's your answer.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. we here today, and we figuring it out. It's just we gotta trust, because before we even got on, we talked about not going outside, and like I said, we're in a state of emergency to where we can't afford to sit back anymore. We got to get up and we got to create the world that we want to see, and it starts with efforts like this. So you spoke on where we are, where you are, how we can support, how we're going to get there, and getting down the line. So how can we this is my vision, and I just want to paint the picture, and maybe you can see yourself in it or even exceed it. I don't like whatever it is, but it's creating a space to where like minds can collaborate, build each other, understand each other's visions. Your vision painted, I can see myself in it, whether above, beneath, on the side. I just want to be in the picture. So just having that mindset of like just bigger picture, bigger than self. And so with that being said, I'm thinking like, how do we keep kicking this down? How do we grow? How do we encourage more people to adopt the same mindset, or even awaken them? Because there are a lot of people who are looking for leadership, looking for guidance. They're looking for an opportunity to get out and be a part of something. But if we don't emit that energy, if we keep it to ourselves, we can't attract it. So
Mm.
how do we get out here and begin to attract the things that we want to see?
You know what's interesting? I used to have this mantra where it was like, be the change.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can always say, somebody else should do it or complain about all the different things, but it's like, okay, you got a problem with it. What are you doing about it?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was, if I am not willing to do the work to fix whatever issue I see, I will not complain about it. Right? And so I think if we decide what issues we're going to address and like actively work to solve, you operate in that lane, and then you find that the people who you see are solving complementary issues, and you start to link up, right? Because then you develop this ecosystem of problem solvers where they're not out here with the lip service complaining and pointing and saying somebody else should do it. Like, oh no, they're out here doing the work, right? So I think really that's what it boils down to, is who is doing the work and is not afraid to partner with other people that are also shining in their brilliance, to get it all done, right? Because there's so much work to be done, and it's not enough people that actually want to do anything.
They're out here. They're out here. I got you outside. I feel like I'm hyped. I got you outside. And I'm gonna tell you, the thing is, like, sometimes I think that people are intimidated by your brilliance. And we don't understand that, because sometimes we walk around, somebody told me you can't taste your own dope. And so you're out here doing what you consider normal, one foot in front of the other activities, and people are looking back and they have a level of reverence to where they don't know how to even engage with you, because it's going to be, I don't know if I'm even ready to even have a conversation with you. And what I had to do, when you say introspection, I had to start looking at myself and say, slow it down, because we've reached levels, and we touched on some, in such a short time, some high level things that people, when they see it and they hear it, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't know what dividends are, you're going to laugh at me. Somebody's going to laugh at me, or I don't even belong in that conversation. So there are people who have hearts that really do want to change, but they just don't feel qualified. And then when we talk about being around people who are smarter, they want to be in your company, despite you thinking, I'm not the smartest person. And one of my partners told me, like, I had the same reluctancy as far as teaching people. Like, I don't want to teach anybody. I don't have this PhD level of knowledge. And he was like, it's not necessary. It's not required. That first grader who wants to learn basic arithmetic doesn't care that you're in the 5th grade, as long as you can teach them. You don't have to have a PhD to teach. So he's like, start where you are. And we are also told, don't be the smartest person in the room. So we're always reaching and not knowing that somebody believes that the level that we're on is probably like God-like level to them. So I say all that to say, even me, like I've seen you for years on, social media doing your thing, like, and I felt like I had to create something of value to even present myself. And as far as talking to you in the past few weeks or so, it's like, but that apprehension, that anxiety that was built up in me has subsided, because no, you're a real person. Like, you have real conversation. You're tangible. You could, hey, this what's up? Like, oh, that ain't it. Like, we could have a regular conversation. But the way it's presented on that blue app is like, she larger than life. I don't even want to.
Man, this is good perspective, right? And I think, like, I forget how other people's perspective shapes their world, right? And so, like, when I think about myself, I'm like, I am so goofy and blonde moments, like all kinds of stuff that I am a regular person. If you talk to me for like 3 minutes, you're going to figure out, like, is she really as smart?
Yeah.
Right? But, and I think, like, like you said, we forget that people are human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is us allowing whatever fears we have about engaging, they begin to manifest because we don't think we are worthy or adequate, or the insecurities start to rise up, because we all feel it, right? With all different types of people. But then once you talk to them, you're like, oh, they a regular person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I can talk to her. I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then you can really start breaking that ice
Yeah.
and getting right to it. But at the same time, we're human too.
Yeah.
So we can't discount that. And it's like these boundaries that we put in place, they're there for a reason.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
right? But like, it's a, if you are the type of person who is serious and you have like an honest effort about whatever you're trying to do, the integrity in your character will just make space.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I think that's what truly is what makes things happen, is the nature of who you are.
Right.
So like, there's a lot of folks that may not on paper or visually look like they belong in spaces, but because of who they are,
Right.
that's how they get in, right? And I think a lot of us, we discount that, like, just having a goodness about you is sometimes all is required, right? So I don't know. I feel like as long as you don't come at me sideways, I will pretty much talk to anybody.
Gotcha.
But don't be coming sideways.
Yeah. So no, I threw all of this out there because it's like, just in case people see you in one space, and I have people that I think of when I've already called them about you. So I've already said, hey, I got somebody pretty dope that might be able to help get your business off the ground. Like, so get you out of that space. I know you have money coming in, but I know you can't see it. You need somebody to sit down and help you to see it. And this may give them a different side, like help them to see, like, oh, all right, I can be myself around her. Like, she is a regular person. She will, and she knows her shit. Like, because it seems like it's a trade off. Like, oh, if they are too relaxed, then they don't know their stuff. And,
I find that a lot in our industry.
yeah.
Where it's like people who are professional services or, are supposed to be more knowledgeable about things do not have as much flexibility to be fun, to be lighthearted. And I think that's kind of why I have this persona on social media, because it's like, I don't know if I can show them that I be trying to double dutch and like all kinds of stuff still, right?
Yeah.
Because like, do you want to believe that your financial advisor be playing spades?
and to be honest, like, I'm glad we're having this. I'm glad we're going out this hole, because I stopped playing the fucking game. I stopped. And is it going to take me time to get where I want to be? Probably. Do people call it a setback? You can look at it different ways. But that know, like, and trust factor has been pivotal for my business, to where my clients will say, people that know me, like, nah, I'm waiting on you. Or this is what I'm going to, I trust what you have going on. And that has empowered me to be me every day. And not to say that I'm not myself, or anybody else that is afraid to show their true side. We have to wear that mask more often than we want to. And because of that professional persona that is expected. Just because I like spades, just because I like hip hop, doesn't mean that I'm less intelligent, that I can't put my words together, that I don't have critical thinking ability. That does not mean that. And that's also not only for us in our world, but think about the kids that are coming behind us. If they can't see them and us, we're doing them a disservice, because now they're going to go through life second guessing themselves. Like, I got to suppress this whole Kendrick song. I like that, but professionally, nobody's going to do business with me. And it's like, you can be all things.
Yeah.
We are that. That's the culmination of who we are as people. That's the essence of us. That's what makes us special. And we got to be audacious about it.
Yeah.
Unapologetic about it. Like, no, this is me. I'm glad you get to see me now, and just walk that. So I'm glad we touched on it because I think that now it's important for us to start creating that space that we want to see and stop trying to fit in other people's spaces.
Listen, it's exhausting to wear the mask.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't take it off, the weight of showing up as someone who is not really you is so heavy. It's so heavy. And like, I think I'm going through the same thing where it's like, y'all finna get whatever I got to give
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I can't pretend. There's so much to do, and we miss who we're supposed to serve if we don't show up as ourselves.
Right.
So
Nah, this was good. This was good. So I not to spring this on you, and this is of course up for editing, but I threw like I wanted to call it something this week. Money Move Monday or something like that. And I threw it out there just like, and I want to continue to do it. This week I put out the message of save at least 10% of what you earn. Is learn how to put that money to work for you. So I wanted to toss that ball in your court. Maybe it's something that you can take and run with, and then just kind of expand on maybe the types of things that people can do initially with their 10%. It doesn't have to be a home run out the gate. I think that's what stops people from investing because they think I got to get this lump sum or I'm not ready yet. But I'm like, if you made $1 today, put a dime away and so on and so forth. But I want to start creating just like some form of direction,
Yeah.
tangible, like do this baby step
yeah,
and expand on that as opposed to because people will get up here and they will show you, "Hey, I got $100,000 put away and they'll show you where they are, but not how they got
Yeah.
there. And that roadmap is critical for step number one.
Yeah.
So throwing that out there, like some kind of message, we could collab on it. You could take it. I don't care. I don't want to be in your wheelhouse. But I just feel like just cross pollinating that information is going to be
Yeah.
helpful in pushing it out to a wider audience and ultimately fulfilling the agenda of wealth building, whether it's what you're doing and what I'm doing, and
yeah.
whoever else is affiliated.
Yeah. So I like that 10%. That's a good number to start, right? So if we're talking about starting from the beginning, I got a framework, y'all. So I use a framework called the Rich Roadmap, right? And rich are the steps. R is for redefining what wealth even means to you, right? A lot of us have no idea what being wealthy would even look like. So we talk about the 10%, but before you even pick the number, it's like, why am I doing this? What does retirement even look like? Like, who's going to be there with me? What are we going to be doing? Like, how do I feel? Do I get excited about not working? Right? And you start to cast the vision, right? You got to redefine, reshape what this future is that you're trying to get to. Right. We cannot get to a place we don't see. And a lot of us can't see past right now. We're in survival mode. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of us start there, right? It's nothing wrong with if that's where you are, but you can't stay. Yeah. So to get out of survival mode, you got to reimagine what this thing looks like, right? That's the first thing. The I is to identify. So you got to identify what the priorities are. What are the fires you have to put out right now, right? So if you are, overspending, using all the credit cards and living beyond your means, you going to keep up with the Joneses and you're going to end up outside? Or are you going to decide that I'm trying to retire pretty and be comfortable? So you got to identify what are the things I need to tackle? And I decided I was going to turn it into a game. Poverty is not finna beat me, right? I used to run track. I was a cheerleader. Let's go, right?
Word.
And you got to turn into this mode where it's we know how to conquer some stuff. And if you haven't decided that poverty is the enemy, you're never going to attack it, right? And so that's how I feel about helping people get out of whatever financial circumstances they're in. Is that situation is the enemy of your freedom, right? So you got to identify what the priorities are and then begin to go after them, right? C is for create the plan. So you can't execute anything if you ain't got no strategy. So what's the savings account you're going to put this 10% in? Is it a high yield savings account? Is it Langley Federal? I wouldn't put it at Langley Federal. No shade, y'all.
Yeah.
If you would like to sponsor this episode, right? But like, what's the strategy? What are the accounts that you need to have? Do you have an IRA? Do you have a 401k at work? Are you putting money in the 401k at work, right? If you are going to purchase a home, which you should, what's the budget going to be, right? So you create that strategy. And then the H is for honoring the commitment. A lot of us got a whole bunch of big ideas, but we do not honor nothing we said. And so if you've continued to like not keep your word to yourself, your confidence falls and you begin to believe that you're not great, right? And so like I believe that all things work together, right? And if I am not disciplined in one area of my life, there's probably other areas I'm not disciplined to. So when we start attacking poverty, guess what else gets better? Our fitness gets better. We start to eat better, right? We start having better relationships with, the people that are around us. And so everything around us just starts to elevate. But you got to have something that you fight in to improve whatever situation you in. So that's my framework. It's called the Rich Roadmap.
Look, we're going to roll with the Rich Roadmap. That's definitely going to be a staple of this episode. But how can the people reach you? I like asking you that question because you're so complex with it. How can they reach you?
So my website is www.mindovermoney.net. If you would like to reach me, you can find me there. If you are looking for educational content, I am on your favorite social media platform, because I'm on all of them, at Tremaine Wills.
There you go. Tremaine, I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for sharing your insight, and this won't be the last. This is the first of many. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right.